want everyone to look at this image and think of the thing that first pops into your head. I imagine for most of you, you see that symbol and you go, danger, radioactive. And it's sort of a scary symbol, you don't want to get near it. However, I want to tell you the truth about nuclear power and why you shouldn't be wary of it at all. Nuclear energy is a safe, clean, and efficient energy source, and I would like to clear up some misconceptions about it and show you why it could be one of the best sources of energy for a sustainable future. First, let's look at the safety of nuclear power. Nuclear power is thought to be extremely radioactive and dangerous. Nuclear power has been used in war. During World War II, two nuclear-powered bombs were dropped on Japan, and because of the devastating effects of these bombs, that leads to a negative connotation of nuclear power in general. Nuclear reactor power is a completely different thing than nuclear bombs. They're completely different, and a nuclear generator will never blow up like a nuclear bomb will. There was one nuclear reactor that blew up called Chernobyl. However, this was not a nuclear explosion, it was a normal explosion, and the effects were not as devastating as a normal nuclear bomb would be. A disaster like Chernobyl could also never exist in the USA because we've never had a nuclear reactor like that in the USA. Nuclear radiation is responsible for 0.005% of the radiation an average American gets in 1 year. That is 100 times less radiation than coal gives an American in a year. Nuclear power also causes less death than other power sources. In Japan, nuclear energy causes about 13 deaths a year on average, and that is with Fukushima happening. In Japan, 3,426 people die every year from fossil fuel production. Nuclear casualties are less than 1% of that number. Also, rooftop solar panels cause 16 times more death than nuclear energy does per year because of accidents. In general, nuclear energy is safe for humans and shouldn't be such a scary topic. Nuclear power and next, why nuclear energy is a clean energy source. Nuclear power and nuclear power plants are thought to heavily negatively affect the environment. People will argue that why would we use nuclear energy when there are less harmful other alternatives? That is from the Seacoast Anti-Pollution League. Also, because of Fukushima, nuclear energy is thought to be extremely dangerous and harmful to the environment in general. While there may be some truth to that claim, many don't know just how it affects the environment. Unlike other energy sources, nuclear power does not emit any greenhouse gases. Over the production and lifetime of a nuclear power plant, it will emit less greenhouse gas than coal, gas, biomass, geothermal, solar, and hydropower. The amount of CO2 made is comparable to how much CO2 is made from a wind turbine. Nuclear power also has manageable waste products. Nuclear power is much more dense than other energy sources, and the total amount of nuclear waste that the USA has over the entire 60 years of nuclear reactors being used would only fill a football field 10 yards deep, which, if you take into account how big the USA is, that's very, very small. Nuclear accidents can happen, however, just like the quote-unquote massive Fukushima nuclear accident in Japan. However, the Fukushima nuclear accident did almost nothing to the environment. 99% of the radiation in the Pacific Ocean is naturally occurring. And the levels of radiation spread by the Fukushima incident have little to no effect on humans. You would get more radiation from eating a banana than you would get radiation from eating a fish in the Pacific Ocean. Nuclear energy is just generally safe for the environment and in some cases better than alternatives. People believe that nuclear energy will deplete very fast. People believe that there's a certain limited amount of nuclear energy that we have in store, and once we use it all up, there's no getting any more. And that's also from the Seacoast Anti-Pollution League. However, if you hold up a finger and you look at your fingertip, that's how big a uranium pellet is, and that gives your finger, the pellet the size of a fingertip gives as much energy as 1 ton of coal or 149 gallons of oil. Coal costs 13 cents per kilowatt, and nuclear costs 9.26 cents per kilowatt. That's from University of Michigan in the Center for Sustainable Systems. Some think nuclear is not sustainable because it's a finite resource. However, there are more elements that we use than uranium to power our nuclear reactors. Uranium by itself is expected to last 80 more years. However, there's a new element, thorium, which is a naturally occurring abundant element that is now being used for nuclear fission as well, and that's from Energy Informative. Nuclear fusion is a source that we haven't used, and that is what powers the sun. So the sun is going to burn for millions of more years. So you can imagine if we were able to use that power, we would be able to power our society for a long time. In conclusion, nuclear power gets a bad rep because it is seen as highly dangerous and toxic when it is less toxic than many may think it is. In the upcoming years, we will need an energy source to keep us alive while the rest of our other energy sources dwindle. Nuclear energy may not be perfect, but is the best source of energy we currently have. Nuclear energy is the way to a better, more sustainable future.